Welcome to Gunners Are Us podcast, where we are positively Arsenal, and that we are. And we've just gone live. Well, I say we. I've just gone live on TikTok because Arsenal Villa just finished maybe 90 minutes ago. And I feel like it's something we need to talk about because my WhatsApp's been going crazy. Arsenal fans, Liverpool fans, all sorts, because so much has happened today. And we've got 3 days to our weekly podcast, which is every single Wednesday on iTunes and Spotify, Gunners Are Us, if you want to listen to that. But by then, we're going to be previewing the Bayern game that night, the weekend of games, and kind of recapping this. But there's so much to get to that I thought I'd just jump on now and see where it took us. So welcome to the live, everyone that's just joining. Up the Villa is already coming in the chat. Yeah, and we done 3 TikToks today, and our third one said congratulations Villa. So I think I'll start there. Aston Villa completely deserved winners at the Emirates, 2-0. First half, I thought genuinely, similar to what Arteta said in the press conference, probably our best half of football was in that first half, just kind of good football, that kind of thing. The second half, just not at it. Villa much better. I think Villa were good the whole game, but they got even better in the second half. It's just been what a wild day in the title race, though. Because obviously the day started with Liverpool. Again, when you earmark these games, there were 7 games left. There's now 6. Palace at Anfield was definitely not one I earmarked as potential drop points for Liverpool. Today, I don't know. I think potentially I kind of had us down as maybe a draw because Villa are really good and a bit of a bogey team for us now. Obviously, post Liverpool, it automatically turns into we have to win. But I mean, if 6 weeks ago we looked at the last 10 or 12, I would have had us losing to City and maybe drawing this. So it's kind of leveled out to where I thought we'd be at this point. Just sad to kind of see it in that kind of order. Jack Dawes said there's players on the bench that can't be relied on to get us out of trouble. It is tough. It's tough. Honestly, it's so hard to break down. So I'll try and start with I've seen a lot of hate for Zinchenko. He's kind of been a bit of a scapegoat, similar to Jack Perry in AEW. Just because he's so good going forward, but he hasn't shown probably the level in which we're used to going forward. But his defensive part is not good enough. Teams obviously, I think Bayern kicked directly at him once he came on. And even today, there was a couple of times where our 3 of the other 4 were all in a perfect line, and he was about 10 yards deep with Bailey panicking over a run. And you just think, you can't have that. And there's a couple of times where he tried to dribble out of the box. He ran into trouble, instantly nearly cost us a goal with Tillemans' shot that hit the crossbar, then the post. In the chat, I've got Shadow saying it's not over till it's over. 6 games to go. I am a Liverpool fan. I agree. Yeah, I'm not necessarily downhearted. I think it was a poor performance, and I thought Villa were really good. But I mean, six games is a long way to go. Again, because it's City, we assume they'll probably just win out. But I mean, if they were to win out, we're always going to drop points. We probably just didn't expect it to be at home to Villa as opposed to maybe Spurs away or Man United away or even Wolves away. But like I said, if you had said this 12 weeks ago, I think I had City down as a loss and Villa as a draw. So we're kind of level. First half, Villa had a high line and have it through, but was too slow. Should have made a call. Yeah, I kind of thought there might have been, the Martinelli switch early doors just because of how he would have just eaten them alive because of that high line. And again, they did stick with that high line. It's kind of a medium block, like a mid block. But I don't think we had answers. It's similar to this time last year when we got to nut cutting time at the end of the season. I think of West Ham away, Southampton at home, and we just kind of gave away silly goals and we were playing fine. It's just we weren't finishing. And it definitely feels a lot like that again. But it is different. City, I don't think will drop points. So again, like I said, I think even if we didn't drop points today, we would have dropped points in the next 4 or 5 weeks. And City would have gone above us anyway. But we just didn't expect it 6 weeks, 6 games out. But Nadri says Liverpool flop, Man United flop, Chelsea flop. Yeah, it's not in context, but hey. Another one saying bad management. Ferguson would have made a change at 30 minutes. Yeah, I know what you mean. I must admit, I thought about it. Martinelli, that change for Martinelli early doors. I wouldn't have done it directly for Havertz or anything, but maybe for Trossard. But the problem is Havertz's runs that were destroying them were from the left eight role, and you couldn't bring on um, Martinelli in that role. So you'd have to have put Trossard in there, Martinelli out wide, and I don't know if that would have worked. I think we've got a Villa fan here saying thanks for 6 points. Yeah, you're welcome. Good luck for that top four spot. City can still get a loss, yet wouldn't have thought Arsenal or Liverpool would today. That's what I mean. We kind of earmark these games that you think there could be losses. Today, no one thought there was losses coming. So who knows? City, their next game, they could, for example, they could draw their next game because just nothing's going right. Arsenal beat Wolves away, and we're top on goal difference. So anything can happen. I think it's just kind of shocked a lot of people, both results. And not just draws, they're losses. And everyone kind of thought draws would be essentially as good as anyone would get off the others. Take Jesus off with Saka. Leeds are coming up potentially. No one wants to win their championship as much as the Premier League. Only one team won out of the top three in the Premier League and championship this weekend. Eze was really good today. I don't think he's necessarily more dangerous than Saka. He might be more dangerous than Saka, but maybe not as good a player all round. I think we're fine. I kind of came on here because I thought it'd be good. I'm sure Arsenal fans kind of want to talk about it. Hence why I've gone live on the TikTok Gunners R Us TikTok if you haven't already. And we're on iTunes and Spotify every single Wednesday. I apologize if you're listening to this on podcast because I am talking directly to a TikTok. But kind of just getting my thoughts out. Liverpool won. They were so unlucky. They had a million chances to win that. And they didn't. Which made you really feel like, is it not our year, but, is it the weekend where the other two kind of take a leap? And City did, but luckily City were the team behind the two of us this time last week. So they kind of leapfrogged. So we all kind of within 2 points with each other again, or three, but just in a different order. It is tough. Paul Hoskins, hope we can win the next game though. Exactly. Cuzza saying AFC TV tonight and popcorn. Yeah, I'm sure that those guys are crazy. They jump from, we've won this in 2024. We've won 10 Premier League games, drawn one, lost one. And they'll want Arteta out, I'm sure, which is just crazy. When you think about that, in December, we had back-to-back games with Fulham and West Ham at home. West Ham at home was one of the best games I'd seen us play, and we lost 2-0. And then we went away to Fulham, and it was probably the worst I've seen us play. And today was kind of a mix of the two, because first half I thought we were as good as that West Ham game, and the second half we were as bad as that Fulham game. And we've ended up, losing two in a week that week, and then we've lost this one. If that means the next six are wins, like it was after those two in the winter, then we'll probably be right up in there potentially. We got Rob Neo O'Regan joined us. Paul Hoskins, Sam's in there. Imagine getting rid of Emery and Martinez just for them to do the double overview. Well, yeah, but I'm sure we've got bigger fish to fry than they do. I think it was just a really interesting game. Overall, there's so much football left to go. As Arsenal boy 7 Connor says, it's just it's a lot to digest. I think that's why essentially I've jumped on. Great result for Villa, dominant, deserved win. Yeah, definitely. I was really impressed with him actually overall. As far I've got a friend who's a Villa fan. We was talking today. He really didn't imagine him getting points from us. But I don't know. I've always had that 3-0 loss that we had. I think it was in the pandemic that kind of stuck in the back of my head, that thought maybe that would be the result today. But after the first half, I thought, wow, we should be able to get a goal here and win this one because we were so good. And then for it to go as badly as it did, it's tough. It's a tough one to take. There's a lot of bottle job things coming in, and I understand. But I'll say this time last year, we were 1 point behind, having been 8 points clear at one point. And we were expected to come sixth. We ended up being called bottle jobs. This year, Liverpool, title favourites, were 8 points clear. Now they are 3 points off, and they're just running out of steam. They're not bottle jobs. So the bottle stuff is, not everyone's a bottle job. Maybe sometimes it's just a title race. And I think it's too early to call. Some people think top 3 for Villa next season. Some are saying bottom half of Villa. We've got Liverpool fans saying we were not favourites. At the start of the season, people thought it'd be Liverpool or City to win the league. So I'd say that's as fair as it is. They're saying they're underdogs. You can't call yourself underdogs when you're Klopp and you go to 2 or 3 Champions League finals and win leagues and push City every year. Bottle shops, that's all over. Hey, it's fine. It's totally fine. You can say that. But I'm just, I really, as a season as a whole, I kind of said during the first half when we were playing quite well, I said no matter what happens, because if you've listened to our podcast again, iTunes and Spotify every single Wednesday, we've always kind of assumed City would just overtake us at some point, and it's happened. But I'm just so glad we're actually playing as well as we are, because it's just kind of better to watch than what we had 2-3 years ago, even 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So we're definitely in the right direction, but I just thought Villa were really good. So more impressed with Villa than I am kind of annoyed at the result, because, like I said, there's a long time to go. 2 games, 2 points behind City. In the chat though, who is City's next game? Because I believe Liverpool got 4 away games in a row. We got Arsenal need to grow up. They can't handle the pressure. It does feel that way, doesn't it? It definitely feels like once that kind of pressure is kind of put on them in these end bits, they really start playing differently. I felt the same in the Champions League this year, that the reason we play different in the Champions League than we do in the Premier League was the nerves, that they're so scared that they're going to go out and get embarrassed kind of thing, that they play different. Whereas in the league, we've kind of all season kept the same style and been really good. But today it kind of showed that it can happen in the Premier League as well when the pressure comes on. A bit Spursy today. Bayern are going to kill Arsenal. Yeah, I honestly don't know what's going to happen, but I'm just so glad we're in the quarter final. But we got Wolves away. Again, I could go live this time next week and so much could have changed again. Or we could be out of the Champions League and we lose to Wolves and, hey, that's it for the year. And Villa are going to catch us up. Got another Arteta out. Absolutely not. I don't think you can win 10, draw 1, lose 1 in 12. We were completely out of the title race in December. So just glad to be in and amongst the top 3 at the minute. I can't believe how unlucky Liverpool were today, though. I was watching that game earlier. And I mean, I don't think I've seen a game where a team have had the ball kind of cleared off the line, hit the post, hit the bar, crazy saves in one game. I've never seen that kind of bad luck, which I kind of thought at the time that if they were to come back and win that over all of that, that maybe it would be Liverpool's year. And it still could be. A long way to go. We got Unai Emery. I'll say this. When Unai Emery had 5 games to win, 1 game to get us top 4, he didn't do a performance like that. So fair play to him and Villa. Yeah, Liverpool did dominate. Arsenal were really, really bad that second half. I don't know what he could have changed. I know people were ripping into the changes. There's talk of Odegaard being injured. That's why he came off, because obviously that was the highlight of the subs that you kind of thought, what is happening here? When he took off Odegaard when we're chasing a game. And again, it was 0-0 when he took him off, and we've ended up losing 2-0. So 2 goals happened in the last, 12 minutes. Ben White came off. I think it was precaution, potentially. I think Zinchenko, is the way he's going to, like I say, he's going to be the scapegoat. He was a lot of the reason we were good last year. He's a lot of the reason why we failed in that kind of run in last year. He's kind of come in and kind of pushed Kivior back out of the team. And it's kind of coincided with us being a lot more shaky defensively. So, and I think we've kind of got worse offensively. When you look at those 8 or 9 we won in a row, Kivior pretty much played all of them. Zinchenko didn't get much game time. And then since he's come back in, we start to drop points and just definitely look a little shakier. Like, we conceded 50% of the amount of goals we've conceded this year in that game. It went in 10 minutes. So it's really poor and a real fall from grace, really. Cleggy saying up the Villa, yeah, congratulations again. And again, if you're listening to this on podcast, I know I'm kind of repeating myself, but we've got new viewers and listeners. And again, if you are listening to this on podcast, iTunes and Spotify, make sure you go over to TikTok, Gunners Are Us. We're trying to get up to those 10,000 followers. We do 2 videos per day, so you can interact. I'd like to think we're quite unbiased as far as Arsenal go. Like I said, congratulations to Villa today. We're not the most, not optimistic because we're positively Arsenal, that's the tagline. But we always assume that, City, we always have to assume the robotic City are going to, because they don't even feel the pressure, because half the reason there's no one in the stadium. But the other reason is I think they're just robots. They're robotic. They'll just keep playing the same football. They won't even know it's a running, and they'll just go, "Oh, we've won the league. They'll probably win the Champions League as well." Chipra Chirper says, "Get Isaac out of my club." Yeah, I'd really like Isaac. Shadow says, "For an Arsenal fan, you're sound." I appreciate that. Like I said, I really like football. I really like Arsenal, but I mean, if the other team are better than you, that's sport, isn't it? Bottle jobs again. That's a very common theme tonight. It's tough. It is so tough to. I think only at the end of the season will we understand how crazy this day was. Liverpool and Arsenal bottled it. Love from a LFC fan. Yeah, I think also you got to think sometimes there's three teams in a title race and teams will win, teams will lose. Not everything has to be, you're the worst or you've thrown it away. Sometimes just footballs, and you lose to a Villa who are really well set up and really good players. We've got a Barca fan in there. They know what it's like. They don't, when they play Real Madrid every year and they either win the league or they don't bottle it and then they win it. It changes it up. I had him look at Villa today v City. That's why I was really interested. They rung the changes for the City game and they looked awful. And then today they just looked unreal, really good. And they were missing Douglas Luiz, they were missing Jacob Ramsey. So they weren't at full strength. And we essentially were, minus maybe Gabriel, who's on Martinelli was on the bench. But we were at full strength at home. They've had less rest than us, so there was no excuses. Probably Man United fans saying that, but yeah, I think people that say you've bottled it are usually people that are supporting teams that aren't in the title race. The 115 is genuinely a talking point, and I know it's coming up because they've done nothing this week other than just win, and everyone's kind of bringing it up. But it's true. It's kind of this is going to be 4 years in a row for City. And every year it's the exact same. They basically go undefeated for the last 20 games. They look very, like they're trying to find the right formula for that season. Then it gets to about this time and they go into high gear. And again, every time you watch him, you think it's not overly impressive, but they just win. It's, again, like I said, the only way to say it is controlling, robotic, that kind of thing. And they just win it. It's a worry. And especially as there's 115 charges, I'm sure they're never going to face any of them. But I mean, it'd be a heck of a bizarre title race because Villa would be in it still. I think if City weren't there, United fans can't say anything. Irrelevant club from Adam. Couldn't be any happier up the Villa. Congratulations. I think it's Owen McFall 9. Congratulations, Villa. That's a huge. You got to remember this is a huge win for Villa. That's a 6-pointer, as they'd say, at the bottom of the league. But they've just gained 3 points on third and second, and they're already in fourth. So this is massive. And again, as an Arsenal fan, good always to see Spurs that was a very bad weekend for Spurs. That was the worst case scenario. The only redeeming quality was we lost and it didn't benefit them in any way. Martinelli, who's a regular viewer, good to see it. Can we still win the league? Of course we can. I do worry I do worry about Man City just because we said this 6-7 weeks ago on the pod, they're probably going to win out post Arsenal game. And nothing's really changed. And if we didn't lose today and we went top, I still know we were going to drop points at Spurs, maybe at Man United. There was a lot of games that I think Chelsea, that I thought we're going to at least drop a point or two. We're probably going to have a draw in there or two. And City were never going to draw or lose. So nothing really changes. I'm just more disappointed in that second half performance. Man City, another treble. Do you know, I was thinking about that earlier and I thought they are going to beat Madrid. And I think if we do somehow get through Bayern, having to do 2 legs against City in this run-in is just going to be horrific. And it'd be good for Liverpool, I think. The fact that Arteta didn't switch it up as we started getting control was really enough. Yeah. I must admit, there was something about that first half. Obviously, that Trossard miss is going to be talked about for weeks. But I don't think it should be because we created enough chances. Jesus was so desperate to score. He's creating a lot of good chances, but he was shooting at wrong times. Could have headed it across at one point. Could have knocked it across at one point. It does feel just very leggy. Very similar to Liverpool. Liverpool looked leggy, but still creating a million chances. Yeah, Arteta's done a great job. It's his first managerial job, and he's been in 2 title races. It's pretty unheard of, to be fair. And we're in it, like I said, at the start of the season, if someone said we'd be in a quarterfinal in a title race 6 to go, I would have not believed that that was a real thing that could happen. So I'm very happy, but disappointing today. But Villa, like Craig Morley up the Villa, very impressed with Villa. What I'll do is we're going to continue this conversation on Wednesday or Gunners Are Us. So make sure you go to iTunes and Spotify every Wednesday. Joe and I will be on there. Simon sometimes he's away in New York at a minute. We'll be discussing everything. But this Wednesday we've got previewing the Bayern game, and they'll be up by about 1 o'clock in the afternoon GMT, and also live on TikTok at 10 a.m. on Wednesday. We'll be previewing the Bayern game for that night. We're previewing the Wolves game at the weekend, plus all the other Premier League games in Prediction League, and then also probably mentioning a little bit of this because Joe will have his say on it. But I just wanted to jump on straight away and kind of ease some of the tensions for the Arsenal fans that listen and just say, season's not over. We all knew City were probably going to win out, and we were going to drop points. But who knows? Who knows? You could see today, how did all those shots from Liverpool not get in the goal? How did we miss that chance? How did we not turn up against Villa in that second half? Anything could happen. I know City are the least likely to do it, but I mean, who knows? Football can football sometimes. So I'm going to end the podcast here, but I'm going to continue on live on TikTok. So we'll see you on Wednesday with Gunners Are Us podcast.